Alright, welcome back with episode 3, and it's a very simple one, just go in the game, and we're basically just going to delete the units that we're not going to use. So we're in a co-op, so obviously co-ops only have, or generally have one side, so we're going to use blue 4. Going to delete all of those units. I'm going to delete second platoon because we probably won't need it. Delete that, set this guy as a player. Make sure you have a player, a unit set as a player, otherwise you won't be able to actually, test the mission. You want to keep this group. This group here is the extra rifleman for Jip. Just make sure you keep that. And then we've got all the special teams. We've got Phantom, which is air. We've got Raven, which is CAS. MMG, G1, which is gambler, tank teams. Mats, and mortar. So let's delete all of those and just keep a couple of pilot teams. And then we're just going to move all of these people up somewhere. I'm going to move them over here to this airfield. And I won't go into how to actually use the Eden editor because there's got to be a dozen tutorials on that already on the internet somewhere. But anyway, generally a few tips is middle mouse click to move the camera on the map, and if you select a whole bunch of units, if these units are like up in the air or something, you can right click, go to transform, snap to surface. So that's generally a pretty useful one. You want to make sure that people aren't spawning in the air because they'll fall and die. And then yep, just save the mission and you're generally ready to spawn in. So we're going to go ahead and spawn in, and then we'll be able to see our config briefing. Alright, so we're in the mission. Open up your map and we have all our group markers. If we enter briefing, we've actually got our briefing that we made in the last episode. So it's total shit. This isn't something you'd actually use because it's just, there's only one sentence, there's not even a full stop there. It's terrible. But you get the idea. We put these things in and it's there. And you got the situation, mission, enemy forces. And as you can see in here, we've actually got way more sections. But it's only going to put these out if you've actually got something in them. And it's going to dump these out in order. So if we moved mission above situation, then in game we will see mission at the top here and situation here. So very simple. And if you click on platoon roster, we've also got everyone in the roster here. So one thing you might need to do when you're testing is turn off safe start. So you can do that under ARCMF, admin, and you can start and stop the briefing stage, which is essentially safe start. And if you want to test loadouts, you can open up this loadout dialog, and that basically lets you set, pick a faction and then a role name. So if I click R, it's going to give me a rifleman loadout, and I can test that that's all working, and then check the AR loadout, test that all works. Okay, so let's talk about group markers. So in the config, we've got these flags, basically enabling and disabling group markers per side. Which you might want to completely disable group markers for OP4 or something. So you can just set that to false, true or false, and that basically true or false is just a Boolean type. So you can set that to false, and that will disable every group marker on Blue 4, regardless of what individual group marker settings that they have. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to set that to true, and we're going to individually change these. So we're going to leave the whole platoon, but we're going to change Phantom. So we've got Phantom 1 and Phantom 2, and for my purposes, I'm going to change these to Falcon 1 and Falcon 2 for jet pilots. So I'm going to double click on the little group icon here, and we'll see here call sign. So that's the first thing you want to change. This is the call sign of the group that gets set. So that call sign is going to be FAL1. And then down here you'll see group marker. So we've enabled it. If we turn it off, they're not going to have a group marker. Turn it on, they do. Delay is in seconds, so every 2 seconds this marker is going to update to then the current position. You can't make it anything below 2 seconds, but you can increase it. So in the case of like Caesar Merlin, which is a pretty staple mission that we play, you might want to update the mission the marker every 30 seconds or something. Accuracy is in meters, as accuracy of 0 basically says that this marker is not going to deviate from the actual unit's position. But if it's set to like 100, then it's going to pick a random position within 100 meters each update. So you're never going to get, bang on the actual position. We're going to leave that as 0. Going to change the text to file 1, so that's a text that appears on the marker. The color, going to make that black. And then we've got which side to show it to. So by default it shows to blue 4 because that's the blue 4 side. But in some cases you want to show it to other sides. Maybe we've got a HVT on the civilian side and we want to show that civilian's marker to the blue 4 side. So then you can just check these and away you go. So it's dead simple. And we've got code here. So this is any kind of code that you want to run on each marker update. So this might be where you want to say maybe change the marker to a circle. So the code accepts the marker in underscore this. You don't really need to know about this, but if you do, you can say underscore this set marker shape local, and the shape I think would be, I don't know, circle. I can't remember the shapes, but there's documentation online, and you always want to use the local variant of the command. So yeah, you can do that if you want, but obviously it's not needed at all. And then let's get down to the element details. This is what shows up and handles the roster. So if we don't enable this, then this group will not show up on the platoon roster in the briefing. The name is basically their element name. So we got file 1 for this guy, but the element they belong to is Falcon. So you do that. And then the order is basically the order they come in the platoon roster. So all of these infantry groups, they've all been they've all had their order set up correctly. So starting from company command, first platoon, second platoon, Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and so on. They've all been set up properly, but all these special teams just have an order of 100, so they just come at the bottom. So we can leave that at 100, doesn't really matter. And yeah, that's basically it. We set up all the group stuff, click OK, and that's Falcon 1. We'll do the same here for Falcon 2, so Fal 2. Scroll down, Falcon, save that, and these are going to be jet pilots, so we don't actually need the co-pilots at all. So now if we go and test this, you can see that in the platoon roster we now have got Falcon, Falcon 1, Falcon 2, and we've got the names of those soldiers. So it's a very easy way to set up your own groups, but rather than having to actually change scripts and mess about with loads more stuff. And a clever thing that it does is with your group names, you generally are going to have like an initial and then a number. So like this, we've got file 1 and file 2, and it's going to work out whether to put file 1 in first and then file 2 second. It's going to work out the ascending order of those groups. So if you just put something like file 1 and you wrote out 1 as O-N-E, and then same with 2, if you spell it out phonetically, then I'm not sure what it will do actually, but it won't do that. So yeah, you generally want to do, some kind of text and then a number, marking that element's number. And then yeah, we got the markers there. So that's all set up for group markers. And yeah, these will update every 2 seconds. So if you look at first platoon, see it's jumping every 2 seconds. That's basically it.